sacrifice. It just goes that way because nothing is cheap. Nothing comes free. So I knew from my past experience as a pastor for 26, 27 years, I knew that personally I will have to pay some price. You know, when you look at my schedule like this, and when you consider 2 campuses and 4 congregations, and leading this type of intense spiritual warfare and battle, just look at it from a human point of view. I have no life for the next 50 days. All I'll be doing is praying and preaching. I'm not going to be home. I'm not going to be able to take care of my regular ministry and a lot of other things. I'm just going to have to jump in and just, And then on top of that, there's always spiritual battle. Because, the moment we step out in faith like this, the devil hates it. The devil says, make your congregation as comfortable as possible. They can sing and they can do whatever. But don't get them to get all committed to Christ and pray. I know the battle will begin. And I don't want to tell you all the details, but it has begun for me. Just, make me very tired and spiritually drained. But I continue to fight, and I will continue to fight. The battle intensified, and when on Friday, I asked some of the staff to stay and get this in because I wanted to put this in your hands by today. Saturday morning, the enemy was waiting for me because I knew he hates my guts. I know he does. Saturday morning, I get a call from my son, Jeremy. He went to Vermont with a couple of friends. He was driving back, and he spent the night in New York, and he was supposed to come back yesterday, Saturday. I get a call. One of his friends told me that he was shaking and was foaming at the mouth, and he passed out, had a seizure. Called an ambulance and took him to the Mount Sinai Hospital. They didn't know what was going on. They did some CAT scan and other things, and they couldn't find anything substantial. But however, they found that his white blood cell count was very low. They were concerned. And then all his thoughts started rushing at me. Does this mean that he will do this for the rest of his life? Now he's having epilepsy or something. What's going on? And then my wife would tell me, if this real, sickness that he will suffer for the rest of his life, she was saying then Jeremy can't drive for the rest of his life. And there are a lot of things he cannot do. And then I began to fear. I said, so this is not just a temporary illness and take a couple of medicine. And my wife said, as a doctor, he said, the medications for symptoms like this, he's going to take it, he's going to have to take it for the rest of his life. On top of that, they have a lot of debilitating side effects, honey. And I said, wow, this is no joke. But I've been prepared, because it's not the first time that I declared battle against the kingdom of darkness as a pastor. I have done so before, and interesting enough, almost every single time you talk to my wife, every single time one of my children's life was threatened. So I said, okay, it was a huge thing. But you know what? In the afternoon, he was all there by himself. My wife was with the women's retreat, and she and I were talking on the phone. And I wanted to jump into my car and drive up so I can see my son, be with him. He's all confused. He doesn't know what's going on because he passed out, and he said, next thing I knew, Dad, I was in the emergency room. So I wanted to drive up there. I wanted to run up there and be with my son. And I felt like I'm partly responsible for this because I asked for it. The devil would not attack me. He doesn't have the, he doesn't have enough gut to attack me. Attack me personally. Why do you want to attack my child, my son? It's me who declared a war against you. But you know how to attack me, don't you? Because you know you can get me, but you can't get to my child, and I take it personally. Anyway. So we could make up my mind, and I had a wedding to perform. So I drove to Virginia campus to perform a wedding at 5. And I was thinking in my mind, what kind of dad are you? Your son, is okay. We still have to do we're still waiting for neurologists to come and do some tests and all that, and they want to make sure that there's nothing wrong. They can't really find anything right now, but he's still hospitalized, and they're not going to release him until, they're pretty much sure that he's okay to go. So, all these thoughts are racing in my mind. What if something terrible is actually happening to Jeremy? And sometimes, having a doctor as your wife doesn't help, because she comes up with all this speculative, what if this, what if that, And I said, I don't know. I wish I didn't know. So at 5, as I'm driving up to officiate the wedding, I called my wife and said, honey, it looks like you're going to have to go by yourself. I can't go. And I felt like an awful daddy. You go to perform somebody's wedding when your son is in an emergency room, struggling by himself. And then on top of that, my wife was driving by herself in the rain. And I said, honey, I want to be with you so much. Go up there with you, because I'm sure you are concerned about our son Jeremy more than I am. And yet there's nothing I can do. Here I am with a smile on my face. I have to be a happy camper and make this wedding work. And it was as if Satan says, see, you get a taste of it, you like it? Because I'm going to mess you up. So after I performed the wedding, and then I came home, and I had to go into the internet and look up, a place for my wife to stay. So I was at the last minute looking up, travel sites, and to make a reservation at a hotel nearby the hospital. And I did that, and my wife was driving, and I was communicating, and the phone was working well. And I was giving her the address to the hospital, and I became impatient, and she became impatient, and we were kind of at the edge of things. And we were, and I went to sleep, and before I went to sleep, I decided to call my dad, because I didn't know how he was doing. So I called my dad, and my mom answered, and how's Dad? And she says, well, because he's not been eating for the last month and a half or so. So, last stage of cancer, liver cancer, not eating. What else do you expect? I asked Mom to put my dad on the phone, and he was so weak, he couldn't even talk that well. Talk to him, and then I said, put Mom back on the phone, and my mom came back, and I said, Mom, are you doing okay? She said, yeah, I'm doing okay. And then she says, by the way, son, if we really needed to reach you, what number should I call? So then she said that I knew that my mom's thinking one of these days my dad is going to be facing imminent passing away, and she has to reach me. And that's why she's saying, which number should I call when I really need to reach you? So I felt like, God, that's too much for me. I can't even be there for my mom. I can't even be there for my dad. And I can't even be there for my son. I can't even be there for my wife. Who am I? What am I doing? This is life. It has to come down to this level. So I went to sleep. I woke up every now and then and got up this morning. I was taking a shower. And I said, okay, God, what's all this mean? What does it mean? And then God spoke to me. Nothing earth-shaking, but he